Hi everyone, so I thought long and hard about making this video, and even while making it now, I'm not sure whether I will post it, but I do think it's important, so here I am making it, and I suppose it's to tell my story a little bit, a brief summary of my story, because as has been pointed out to me, and what I recognise is, no, I'm not a doctor, no, I'm not a therapist, but what I am is somebody with some skills and some expertise and some qualifications that I am using to my benefit to help people. And the reason I'm doing it is because of the world I'm in, because of obviously in the education world I see a lot of holes in the system. I see a lot of families and children that are struggling, and struggling to find the way, because of the system. And I know that I can help, not just find the way and navigate through, but also with looking after themselves and taking care of themselves and each other. And I know that I can help because I've been there to a degree. Obviously, there's always someone worse off than you, and there's always someone better off than you. And I'm not trying to say that my story is any better or any worse than anyone else's. I know there's a lot of people worse off, and my story, it's not the worst story in the world, but everyone's problems are relevant. And I suppose that throughout my life, when I look back, my childhood was very, very, very hazy. I can't remember a lot of it. But as a young adult, as a teenager and a young adult, I'd say I'd describe that I didn't really switch on until my 20s probably, and even then it was limited to how much I was switched on to the world, to my feelings, to how I was behaving, to how I felt. And I'd probably say only over the last 10 years I really got more in tune with emotions and how I feel and who I am, and that's been a bit of a journey in itself. But there's never really been a label on the ups and downs that I've felt, and there still isn't, but I know that they've been there, and the more I understand about mental health now, the more I understand what's gone on in my past. Although I didn't understand it at the time, I understand it now to a degree. I suppose the first real understanding I had was when I was in the RAF. To anyone who was looking at me, they would have seen someone who was out partying, having a laugh, enjoying myself. The people I worked with will have seen, you just wouldn't have seen anything going on with me, but there was. And when I eventually did speak out, and I spoke to a doctor in the RAF and just talked to him a bit about how I was feeling, I was told to be very careful about what I said, because it would follow me around for the rest of my life. So that is the world we were in probably 18 years ago, 17 years ago maybe, which just proves the stigma, doesn't it? So no, you've got to keep all of that in, because if you don't, it'll follow you around for the rest of your life, and any job you go for, it's on your record, and people are unlikely to employ you, which was pretty much what I was told, which wasn't a great thing to hear, I suppose. And then going forward, what does that do? That's going to make you keep feelings like that in. I suppose the people I was surrounded by at the time, there wasn't really anyone to talk to about it. So I just cracked on, and I suppose that's when I had to find my own methods, my own strategies to deal with how I was feeling. So fast forwarding to more recently, when I've got a family and you know, the bills to pay and everything that everyone has. Things have gone on in my life in regards to infertility, and understanding that I can't, you know, me and Nick can't have another baby. Nick's mum passed away pretty suddenly. Again, these are things that there's a lot of people dealing with, and I'm not trying to stand out from the crowd. I'm just telling my story from my point of view. Now, at the time, my attitude was dig in, crack on, which I still do believe you have to dig in and crack on, but it's what is digging in and cracking on. And I suppose at the time that's what I didn't understand, because it caught up on me later on, where all of a sudden I couldn't, it wasn't anxiety, it wasn't depression, I just didn't feel right. I just didn't feel right. And because times have moved on, that there were certain people around me who I could talk to, and there were certain people around me who asked if I was okay. And when people started asking if I was okay, that sort of helped it dawn on me that actually I'm not okay here, and I need to address it, and I need to do something about it. And that's when I had to dig in and crack on, like 2 years or a year later, where and that was digging in deep myself to find those strategies that I know and that I've learnt about and that I've been practicing, but maybe stop practicing, and then go back to them and take some time out to go back and understand what it is that I need to do to make me feel good. Yes, it involved a trip to the doctor. Now, again, like I say, it's been pointed out to me I'm not a doctor, but doctors don't have all the answers. I was listening to a podcast the other day of a guy called Charles Eisenstein. If you haven't heard it, listen to a podcast. Charles Eisenstein and Rich Roll. And what he basically said in one comment was, there's a place at the table for science, but that's not the only place at the table. So when we're understanding humanity and the feelings of humanity, science is a massive factor, of course it is, but it's not the only place at the table. There's a lot of other factors going on. So when I was speaking to the doctor and he was suggesting medication, again, didn't tell me I was depressed, just said, you're not feeling right, I've got medication that can help with this imbalance. I eventually agreed to take it, but I didn't take the medication. I think I may have took one or two, and that didn't feel right either. So although that works for some people, that didn't feel right to me. So again, I had to dig deep and find those strategies that work for me. So I'm talking about, there is a place for medication and there's a place for science, but when a doctor gives you medication, you still got to go away and do the work on yourself. So what I'm alluding to, I suppose, is that we've all got our own battles, big battles, small battles, whatever, they're all relevant to you. Whether you're medicated or not medicated, that doesn't change the fact that you've got to look after yourself. You've got to start using self-care strategies to support yourself, because whatever medication can get thrown, it's only part of the story. It's only part of the fix. It's only part of moving on. There's so much out there to support you, but you've got to start doing it. You've got to commit. You've got to commit to yourself and to do it, because without that commitment, nothing's going to change. If you just trying it and then stopping it and then trying it and stopping it, nothing's going to change. You've got to commit and go, no, this is what I'm doing, and I'm whether I feel like it or not, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick to the plan. I'm not going to do whatever it is that my mood dictates to me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to the plan, and I'm going to do it day in, day out. And I think that's when you start seeing improvements. So I thought that it's important. There's a lot of people around me who never mentioned mental health, never mentioned how they were feeling, until I mentioned how I was feeling and what was going on with me. And there's more people around you than you think that might be struggling in their own way. And the more you can talk to each other, the more likely they are to talk. And the more you talk without wallowing in it too much. I'm talking about it and getting it out in the open. I'm not talking about wallowing together and having that hippo time for too long. Have the hippo time, but then you've got to move on, fine, and maybe you can find ways together of moving on. But it's about talking. Let's end this stigma. Let's have it so that people aren't going to the doctors and thinking that once they say that they're not feeling great mentally, that's going to stick with them for the rest of their life, like I did when I was a 23-year-old lad. You know, getting given bad advice, basically by a professional. So there's my thoughts on it. There's my story. I just wanted to share it because I want to be real and I want to show that I'm practicing what I preach. I'm not just someone who sat here and is, you know, living rosily 24/7, because I'm not. You know, I have my own struggles and I deal with them the same as everyone does, and I'm sure that, you know, I'll have further struggles in the future, but I'm making sure, and I'll continuously make sure that I'm mentally prepared to deal with it, and that's what I'm trying to provoke in everyone. Get yourself mentally prepared for the stuff that life can throw at you, even if you're feeling great. And if you're not feeling great, then let's make changes. So yeah, hope that's helped. And Mental Health Awareness Week, it's good to talk. Let's go.